Batgirl magic. This is cool. The show, there was a lot of little name drop. There were a lot of name drops in this episode. Some cool ones too. But first of all, let's go back to the previous episode because in the last episode, both Sophie and Alice, they got run up on by one of Sophia's henchmen. Come to find out, Alice, we all know Alice used to work for Sophia. And while Alice was working for Sophia, she betrayed her, and then she left her, and she took the poison and the antidote with her, because she was trying to plot, her revenge on the Kane family. So, so because of that, Sophia basically she like when Alice gave those bats the poison in the last episode, and then the bats started poisoning people. We knew that everybody knew that Mary's blood had the cure. So they took Mary's blood, and Mary gave it to Hamilton Dynamics. Hamilton came up with a cure, and they started curing all the people who got bit by all these bats. So now, like, this magical cure to kill this poisonous disease exists in different people's bodies. Sophia had a problem with that, so she snatched up Alice. Well, Alice did that on purpose to get a meeting with Sophia. Unfortunately, Sophie was with her, so Sophia snatched up Alice and Sophie, brought her to the island. They're at the island. Sophie's there. She's being held captive. Alice and Sophia are having a conversation. Beth was basically just like, "Oh, you killed my sister." Sophia was like, "I didn't kill anybody. Why would I go through all that trouble?" And they're just playing like the cat and mouse, like, back and forth game. So then Sophia basically, she's just like, "I didn't appreciate you dispersing my poison and my cure into the hands of Gotham." And then, Alice was just like, "Well, I only gave it to one person, and she dispersed it to Gotham." Again, and we're talking about Mary here because Mary was the one that gave Hamilton Dynamics the cure in order to give it to all the people of Gotham. So now, and they said that this particular cure, it's a cure-all, like it's a universal cure. It cures everything. So there was a moment where Mary had treated a patient who had cancer, and this person ended up being one of the people who got bit by the bat and ended up getting the Hamilton dynamic cure. When they checked her again, she didn't have the cancer anymore. And then that's when Mary figured out that the universal blood that she gave to save everybody, it had, because it had that cure from the island on it. It was actually curing people's bodies and everything. And I think that's what Sophia is trying to avoid, because she doesn't want the cure. She's trying to keep that whole thing in-house, and she doesn't want the cure to spread out into the world. So now she needs to find a way to stop these people, because all the people who got bitten by bats now have this running through their system, and she has to find a way to stop it. So she ends up telling Alice, she's just like, "Listen, I actually do have your sister Kate Kane," because she had Kate's necklace. And then she was just like, "Oh, just because the plane blew up doesn't mean that she was on it, dear." And then, so my guess is obviously Kate got on the plane. Because if Kate didn't get on the plane, her phone wouldn't have been on the plane, and the bat suit wouldn't have been there. I feel like, so Kate's luggage and everything, Kate was actually on the plane. And at some point, if what Sophia is saying is true, Sophia snatched Kate off the plane before the plane took off, and then it blew up, whatever. But according to Sophia, she didn't blow up the plane. She said that she does have Kate. She did say that she does have Kate in her possession, but she said she didn't blow up the plane. So maybe somebody else took a shot at the plane. Or maybe Sophia is just flat out lying to her, and she's, just trying to get under Alice's skin. But she told Alice, she was just like, "Listen," she's like, "I'll give you back your sister, but you must do a favor for me." So she sends Alice and Sophie back to Gotham. And, she kept Sophie alive because Sophie actually tried to escape. She got into a fight with one of her minions, and Sophia was impressed by what Sophie can do. So she was just like, you might serve a purpose later. So she's like, "I'll just leave you be, and I'll send you and Alice back to Gotham." So now Alice and Sophie are back in Gotham. And, Alice told Sophie that Kate's alive. They had a whole conversation about it. It cuts back to Sophie going to Commander Kane, and then she's just like, "Sir, Alice just happens to be alive." I mean, not Alice. Why I keep calling her Alice? She's like, Kate just happens to be alive. And then that's when we got one of our name drops, because the whole time Commander Kane, he found Kate's phone in the plane wreckage, and he was going through Kate's phone and everything. And then he said to Sophie, "Why would Kate have a photograph in her phone of a painting that was made by Jack Napier, which is the Joker?" So we got a Joker reference. So we got a Joker reference. And according to Luke, Batman killed the Joker, But who knows? That could be true. That could not be true. But basically, the Joker's name got dropped, so now we're going to be looking into the Joker regarding this painting and the whole situation. One of the other crows, they came in and they was just like, oh, there's somebody that's behind the false face gang or whatever, and they said that the person at the top of the list, this is the there was a picture. They didn't show us the picture. They said this is a picture of a person at the top of the list, and then the other guy said, well, I'm not telling the command, and see, until we have some solid proof or evidence, I'm not going to bother the commander with a picture of some freak wearing a black mask. And we all know who Black Mask is. So now we got a Jack Napier Joker reference. We got a Black Mask reference. So I mean, I don't know about the Joker, but the Black Mask will definitely show up on Batwoman at some point during the season. And then we get our third villain, which was the focal point of the episode, Victor Zsasz. Victor Zsasz, basically, he took a job. He took a job from Sophia. And Victor Zsasz's job was to basically go around killing all the people that had the cure in their system. Because again, Sophia doesn't want this cure to get out. She doesn't want people's blood, to filter through the world. She wants to keep that in house. So she hired Victor Zsasz to basically kill everybody that had the blood. So that's what Victor Zsasz is doing. Now Ryan, she's struggling a little bit. Like, I love the fact that there's still a learning curve here. I love the fact that there's still a struggle here. She's still, like, when she floats down, like, in the bat suit, she still can't land. She's still tripping over the landings. She's arguing with Luke because she was trying to knock out one guy. It wasn't like a group of people, a group of gang members. She was literally trying to beat one person, and she threw like 18 batarangs and she kept missing. And then Luke was like, yo, like, them shits ain't cheap. Then he's like, like, are you going to go in the alley and look for all those batarangs that you keep missing to pick them up? So then, she finally got the guy in the leg or whatever. And then, the guy was just like, hey, you're not Batwoman. And she was like, why not? She was like, well, I can't be Batwoman. He was like, you're not Batwoman. And she was like, well, I'll show you Batwoman, right, Luke? And then Luke was just sitting there like, Luke is not trying. Like, I love Luke because the girl is in the costume. She's Batwoman. And Luke just isn't messing with her. Luke is just like, look, he's like, do you, boo? I'm just here so I don't get fined. And then Luke's just like letting her fail, and then it's like he's just sitting back eating popcorn. So she ends up taking out the criminal, and then like her beeper, her alarm goes off, and then they're just like, well, what's with the beeper? She had a PO appointment, so she knocks out the criminal. She goes down to her parole officer. She's having a conversation with the PO. The PO's like, look, you need a job. If you don't have a job, I'm going to have to give you a write-up. So then she lies and tells her PO that, because again, remember, Kate owned the lesbian bar in season 1. And I think I said this before. I was like, now that Kate's gone, like, what happens to the bar? Like, who owns the bar? Apparently Mary took over, and Mary's the owner of the bar because she's not getting paid to do the doctor thing because she's doing all that for free. And then regarding her Hamilton dynamics, we find out that she sold all of her stock. So the girl's actually rich, so I guess she doesn't need the money, which is why she can do the doctor thing for free. But because the bar was Kate's idea, but it was Kate's legacy, she took over the bar, so she runs the bar. So Ryan lied and told the PO that she works at the bar, so Mary had to go along with the lie, and now Ryan Wilder is the manager of Kate Kane's lesbian bar. So they're in the Batcave now talking about, like, because now Victor Zsasz is on the prowl. He already killed a bunch of people. They're trying to find out who this dude is. While they're having their conversation, Ryan was just like, yo, I got to go down to the bar because my PO wants to take a look at the place. And then then Luke is like, what bar? And then Mary's like, oh, I gave her a job at the bar, because she's like, her PO needs her to have a job and she needs a civilian cover up, because she's Batwoman. And then Luke didn't even respond to that. He just turned around and he was just like, I can't with y'all. So, so she goes down, but then come to find out she actually, because they were just like, listen, we got to focus on the Victor Zsasz thing. I ain't worried about none of this BS. But she was just like, well, she's like, his name is Victor Zsasz. He's a hitman for hire. So you got to find out who hired him. He puts scars on his body for every time he kills a victim. And he uses this particular specific baby soap, that he uses on his body. And then, it's something, she said, like, it translates in French, like the baby's bottom. And then Mary knew what it was. And then Luke was just in the, like, when you go back and watch the scenes with the three of them together, just look at Luke's facial reactions during the entire conversation. Like, Luke Fox so far, like, he's like the real MVP in all this because his reactions is just gold. So he's just like, all right, so I'm gonna do a search for the baby's ass. We'll keep it moving. He finds Victor Zsasz. Victor Zsasz goes down. Victor Zsasz. He finds out where his hotel is. Ryan goes down to the hotel in the Batwoman suit. When Ryan shows up, she's just like, "Hey, Victor's." Well, actually, Victor's ass saw her first, and because she was trying to get his laptop because they wanted to know like if there was a list of the targets of people that he's killing. So when he goes in. Like so when Batwoman goes in, Victor's ass shows up and he's just like, "Oh, you must be the new girl." And then at that point, Ryan tried to get the batarangs and then she couldn't find him. She's like, "Where are the batarangs?" And he was like, "Girl, you threw them in the alley." And then he's just like, "Well, take the bow staff out." She takes the bow staff out. She's trying to press the button. She's like, "Why won't it work?" He's like, "You got to press the button at the bottom left hand corner." And she's struggling to get the bow staff out. Victor Zaz is just watching the whole thing, and he's just like, "You know what? While you figure that out, I'm just gonna go over here and pour myself a drink." So he was just like, "Look, he's like, I see that you're like the new person, whatever, like you're the new Batwoman, but honestly, he's like, you're not really instilling fear in my heart." He was just like, "You don't even look comfortable in the suit, like it doesn't even look like you, like, the straight wig and everything." He's just like, "Yeah," he's like, "It's just not working for me." And then, she was just like, "Well, it doesn't matter what's gonna work because I'm gonna take you out, you son of a bitch." And then he pulls out a he pulls out a bazooka and he's just like, "Not if I take you out first." He fires the bazooka. Ryan is just like, "Oh, hells no." She jumps off the roof and then she dips. Now, any other Bat person, whether it was like Batman, Nightwing, Tim, Barbara, whoever, they would have disarmed him or dodged the missile, disarmed him, and took him out. She just dead ass just jumped off the roof and dipped. So again, there is definitely a learning curve here because she's not, because like the thing is, she's not comfortable. Like she's not comfortable because first of all, they're going through this whole thing like every single day. Everybody keeps telling her, Luke especially, that she's not Batwoman. They keep telling her like, "Oh, you're a stand-in, like like you're you're part-time, like this is a temporary job." So of course she's not feeling, and then it's like she can't get the gadgets right. She can't figure out. So of course like she's not comfortable in the situation, and it's funny because out of all the people in the world, Victor Zaz is the one that basically told her like, "Listen, like if you're gonna be Batwoman, you should probably like do it more like you or whatever." And then she took that advice, and then it was just something that she was thinking about throughout the course of the episode. So then she came up with an idea. She was like, "All right, well," she was like, "All right, we need to get the list from Victor's ass." Luke is like, "I got this device that can clone his hard drive, but we got to get close to him." So then Ryan's like, "All right, well, I'll get close to him as Ryan because he and I kind of know each other because he knows a girl who I used to date." So she goes down, she talks to them, she talks to him, bringing Mary's money because since Mary said that she sold all of her Hamilton Dynamic shares, she's a billionaire, and then Ryan was like, "Well, shit, if you a billionaire, why am I making $12.50 at the bar?" and then she was like, "Listen, in order for us to get Victor's ass," she's like, "I'm gonna need money." So she was like, "Yo, how much cash you got?" Every time money got brought up, Mary just looked very uncomfortable. So she gets the money. This is very interesting. It's interesting that Ryan and Mary were basically the two people that came up with the idea to hire Victor's ass to do a job. So just so she can get close enough to him to clone his hard drive. But the target, when she gave Victor the money, she told him, she was like, "I want you to kill Alice." And then she was just like, because Alice's Wonderland gang killed my mom. And it was one of those things where it's the perfect cover because if you're going to go to Victor Zaz and ask him to do a job, you actually need a job for him to do. But I question whether it was her or Mary who came up with the idea of like, yeah, tell him the target is Alice because neither one of them would mind Alice getting put down anyway. So she gets close enough to him. She ends up cloning the hard drive. Luke ends up pulling up all the information, and then he finds out that the person who's hired him to kill all these people is Sophia. They have no idea who Sophia is. They're trying to figure out who Sophia is. They don't know. So Ryan basically, she goes back to Wayne Tower. Mary goes back to the hospital. While Mary's at the hospital, that's when she's having the conversation with the other doctor about the miracle, like the miracle blood cure being in that woman's system that cured her cancer. And then she's on the phone with both Luke and Ryan, and she says like, "Listen, like the miracle cure is what Victor Zaz is he's going after. He's targeting people who took the miracle cure." And then they were just like, who's a person we know that has the miracle drug in their system? And as soon as they said that, Victor Zaz rolled up on Mary. So Mary started screaming. She runs into the alley. Ryan's like, "I'm gonna go help Mary," but she was like, "Yo, don't hate." She's like, "Yo, don't be mad. I made some alterations to the suit." And then she goes down to the alley. She pops up in front of Victor's ass. She got the new suit on. She changed her boots because Kate's boots were black and red. Ryan's boots look like they're all black. The suit looks a little slimmer, like it's all black. The logo is darker, and she had like the natural like the natural curly wig with the little red tips. So even Victor Zsasz was like, "Yo, cool outfit." The two of them get into a fight. She ends up taking the bow staff, she found the button, and then she knocked him out with the bow staff. She saved Mary. Mary took a picture, gave it to the press. Batwoman's in the newspaper now. Everybody knows she black. So now it's Black Girl Magic, Batgirl Magic, and everybody knows now that there's a new Batwoman, and it's not the original. So there's a lot of questions there. Even that faceless radio personality, like she's been all over it since the thing. She's like, "Who's this new Batwoman, Gotham? Let me know the tea." So that's cool. So then like after that, Luke basically goes down. The two of them have a conversation because Mary and Luke throughout the entire episode, like Luke's whole thing is he's still holding out hope for Kate. He still feels like Kate's alive and that Kate will come back. Mary's kind of thrown in the towel at this point. She's just like, listen, even if you survived a plane crash, she's like, first of all, a plane exploded with you in it in the sky. Even if you survive that, there's no way you're going to survive the crash onto the ground. So she was just like, listen, like the numbers don't lie, the statistics don't lie. There's more of a chance that she died than she is alive. So Mary was kind of like, and if that's the case, we got to put all of our eggs into the Ryan basket because we're going to need a Batwoman, and she's the person who has the job. Luke's whole thing was like, stop giving her jobs, stop giving her encouragement. She, it's a temporary situation. And, and the thing with Luke is like, I understand that, but the thing is, I understand that it's a temporary situation, but until that situation comes to an end, you still have to deal with her. So why are you giving her a hard time? Because she is Batwoman until Kate comes back. So you should treat her as such. So, but the two of them were very emotional. And then at the end, Luke apologized to Ryan. The two of them made up. She was like, "I need you to give me a chance," and he was like, "I got you." Gave her some new batarangs, and it's all good. Him and Mary had a conversation. Mary was just like, "Listen, I'm not gonna change how I feel." And then Luke was like, "I'm not gonna change how I feel either." And I'm sitting here like, are y'all still talking about Kate? Because I'm still waiting for Luke and Mary to get together. So that was it. Like they walked out, and now we're going full steam ahead with the whole Ryan train. And I said, and that was pretty much it. So this was good. Like this was very good because again, we got to see the struggles, with Ryan. It's again like I would be a little bit more down on. I would have been down on it if she would have just learned all the Bat secrets in like episode 2. I like the fact that it's episode 3 and she's still struggling with it because that makes perfect sense. I'm loving Luke and Mary. Like I said, I'm still waiting for them to get together. Alice has a purpose now because Sophia told her to do something and we don't know what Sophia told her to do. One thing I am shocked about is because I thought that once the plane crash thing happened, because again, since Ruby Rose isn't here anymore, I figured we would address that in the first episode and then we would move on from Kate Kane and we put all of our eggs into the Ryan basket. We're still talking about Kate. And not only are we still talking about Kate, they're talking about Kate's alive. And Sophia, and if this is true, if Sophia is telling the truth, because Sophia was just, because at one point Alex was like, "Oh, if you have Kate, where is she?" And then she's like, "Girl, I'm not stupid enough to leave her on the same island with you." She's like, "She's separately somewhere else." And she's like, "Once you leave, I'll bring her back." So there's like, I don't understand, like, I'm very interested in this, but I don't understand what the writers are doing because if what you're saying is true, and if Sophia really does have Kate captive, which is what I said in the beginning. If Sophia really does have Kate captive, if Alice does whatever this magical job is that Sophia wants her to do, once that task is over, she's gonna have to hand over Kate, and there's no Ruby Rose to hand back. So I hope they're not painting themselves into a corner with this one. Or if it turns out that they are going to commit to this and Sophia is going to keep her word and give back Kate, or if they rescue Kate or whatever, maybe Ruby Rose will come back just to do like a farewell where they'll get her out or whatever. And then she'll meet Ryan, and then she'll tell Ryan like, "Hey, listen, I'm about to take a break because I just been kidnapped for like 2 months or whatever, how long it ever has been." And she's like, "Yo, you got the job now, kid. Don't screw it up." We'll see. But that definitely has my interest. Like whether or not Ruby Rose will come back to at least pass the torch. The Black Mask, like I'm definitely interested in Black Mask. I want to see Black Mask and the Jack Napier, the Jack Napier thing. And they said we got Victor Zsasz, so hopefully now like DC Warner Brothers is okay with opening the door for Batwoman to use more Batman villains, because I would definitely love to see a couple of Batman villains pop up throughout the course of the season. And but we'll see. We're getting a break because the Super Bowl is next Sunday, so Batwoman's not going to go up against the Super Bowl. Batwoman comes back, I believe, on Valentine's Day, which is cool. So we get a 1 week break, and then Batwoman comes back. There's another villain in town, some old lady that's feeding kids jelly beans, and she's hypnotizing kids to go around killing people or doing whatever. So we'll definitely review that when it comes on. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think was going on with the Kate situation. Like, is Ruby Rose going to come back to do a farewell swan song performance? Is she gonna pass the torch? Is Ryan really just a temporary stand-in, and is Ruby Rose going to come back and take the mantle? And what's going to go on with the Jack Napier, the Black Mask and all the other stuff? And what Batman villain do you hope or think will pop up at some point before the season's over? So let me know in the comments. Check me out on social media. Leave a comment, like, and or subscribe. We got WandaVision still going, so we're definitely still doing reviews for WandaVision. And like I said, in 2 weeks, we'll pick up the Bat Baton and we'll keep it moving. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And for Batwoman, until next time, I love this.